Wendy, I remember when we first connected that you were like, I don't know if I'm a good fit for your podcast. Yet you said you had nothing like traumatic or anything like that, big experiences that have gone in your life that you think you could share for how somebody can get through something. And I believe you're wrong. And I believe you kind of think that too. You just don't think that just the little things that change is enough to help somebody else get through something else. So I wanted you to come on and share your journey and allow others to know about you, Wendy, and see what they can use from your journey so that they can navigate through theirs as well. Because they might be experiencing those small little things that you've dealt with and they just need help getting through everything. So, Wendy, would you just start off with, who are you today? What are you focused on? What are you passionate about? And then we'll just go back in time and see how you got to where you are today.
Okay, that sounds good. So, who am I today? Let's see. I am a mom of two little boys, 6 and 9, and busy in all the things. And that is relevant in my story because they've definitely been a big, huge shift for me, and something that I think was a lot harder than what I expected it to be, moving into parenthood. So now I own a health and wellness coaching practice, and we are really focused on helping people who are kind of stuck in a cycle of starting over again and again and again. And they're ready to say, enough is enough. I want to do something about this. I want to create lasting change in my life, and I want to become someone who just lives healthy by default, whether that is with their physical health or really taking care of themselves, mentally and spiritually. I think all of those things are really combined, and each of those different pieces has been a big part of my story, which is why it has evolved into a business. And I have a team of coaches who are all really passionate about helping people just value their health as part of who they are, instead of something that they feel like they're always kind of trying and failing at over and over again.
Yeah. And so I would love to learn a little bit more about that. Right. So, I don't know. When did you start getting into being healthy? And I'm sure you started being more fit and everything else that led you to that spot to help others. But when did that start for you?
So my breaking point really came when I was pregnant with my second son. And so that was a little over 6 years ago. I thought it was just a weight problem. I knew that I didn't feel good, and I knew that my pregnancy was hard because I was not taking care of myself physically. Um, and so that led me to the point of just saying, I have to do something. I have to have somebody help me, and they have to tell me what to do because I couldn't figure it out on my own. I had a whole bunch of cycles of starting and stopping something. I would be really good at going to the gym for a few weeks or trying a new nutrition plan for a few weeks. But then when I didn't get the results that I thought I wanted to see, I would give up because I just thought, well, this is too hard. I've got way more important things in my life. Maybe I'm just not to meant to be somebody who does these things. So it all started as a physical thing for me because I thought I just wanted to lose weight. Thankfully, the program I was doing came with a coach, and it came with programs, and materials to help move our mindset into, what's really going on here. Because a lot of times it's not just what we're putting in our mouth. There's reasons why we maybe have some habits that aren't really serving us. Um, so very reluctantly, because I said, "I can't do this. I have a new baby. I have a son. I'm on maternity leave. I don't have time to read any books. What are you talking about?" But I finally did it, and it started with the self-assessment, and that's when I really had an aha moment of, "Oh my gosh, there's a whole lot more that's going on here that's not just what I'm putting in my mouth." I realized that I was feeling very lost in motherhood. I was feeling like my life was just kinda coming at me, and I wasn't living with any intention whatsoever. Um, we had moved to a new town, a new state, halfway across the country, and I knew that I was feeling very lonely, and I needed community, and I needed people around me. Um, and all of that was coming out in me being very short with my kids, very short with my husband, always feeling like I was behind, never enough time or energy for anything or anybody, and just feeling like life was happening to me instead of really having any intention around it. Um, So that's where my kind of wake up moment was, that I realized, oh, this is way more than just not being able to fit into anything but maternity clothes. I need to maybe work on some other parts of my life.
Yeah, it's funny how that all works out because I hired a fitness trainer too, after I was trying to work out for like a year,
Yeah.
almost every day straight, just reading a book and I got results, but not the results I wanted. So I hired him, and for me, we had to connect every week. And if I didn't show up and say, "Hey, I did this," then I feel like I failed, right?
Yeah.
So finding that community, finding that trainer, whoever that was to assist you, it's very important. I really do truly believe that. And it's not just for fitness, right? It's for anything else, business and relationships and all that kind of stuff. So always finding a mentor or a coach is very important. How did you go about finding that person to help you out or the community?
Yeah. Well, it was really, so this was about 6 years ago, and it was just when people were kind of starting to share, that they were doing some things and share businesses online and that sort of thing. So it was literally just a friend on Facebook, and it was somebody I knew from college, and he and his wife had had success with this program. And so it was kind of one of those deals where it was like, whatever you're doing, sign me up because I'm ready. um and I really believe that there are no coincidences, and this really was a divine intervention for me, because the community that I was placed into, it really was just what I was needing, as far as people who were really working on bettering themselves and really diving into supporting each other, and surrounding each other, and normalizing kind of the personal development part of it. And I think I'd always been interested in personal development, but I was really good at, like, reading that book and then never doing anything about it, or taking that personality test and thinking, "Oh, that's really cool. I'm very interested in that," but never following through with it, because that's what we do, right? We learn something and then we put it on the shelf and we move into something else. So this was the first time that I was placed inside a community where it was just all about continuing to grow and staying in that place of growth. And that, I think, really opened something up in me to realize, okay, it's okay to want better in your life, and it's okay to want to explore new things, and it's okay to do something different. Um, and stick around with the people who are really pushing towards that, because it's hard when you go back to kind of your everyday life, and then there's people that are maybe in more of a fixed mindset, or just kind of what you're used to. It's really easy to fall back into your old patterns. So I just really found myself drawn to these people that were really growing and changing, and that has been a huge thing for me, because it's really led me to meeting a lot of amazing people like you in communities where there's a lot of those people, but we have to stick together, because it is important for us to support each other in those journeys.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is very important, and it's the communities that you and I found each other in that is going to help us succeed and keep moving forward. Because people are going to push you, right?
Yeah.
Or you see, oh, how they get there, I can get there too, right? So it's kind of like, hey, come follow me. So, um, personal development is the thing that I've explored too, and I've heard somebody say it's not shelf help, it's self-help, because you mentioned you take a book, you read it, you put it on the shelf, right? And that's it, you're done. That happens to a lot of people, right? And they can change their thoughts and start doing something, but then they fall back into what they were doing, their habits and everything, because they were around the same people all the time. And so now you just shared how you connect with other people. And so you left your comfort zone. What did that feel like for you, navigating into that? Because I had to do that myself, and I'm still in that area where you got the old people kinda draw pushing you, pulling you back, and then the new people are, "Hey, come along this way." So you're kinda in the middle.
Yeah.
Um, what was that like for you, or where do you sit currently?
It was so hard, especially because, so a few reasons. One was, I had reached my goal weight, and I said, okay, I just shared on Facebook that this had happened because I was so excited that I had achieved this goal. Well, then all these people are saying, how did you do this? Because this was all over the summer of 2020. So people either got skinny or started baking bread and gained a whole bunch of weight during that time,
Yeah.
right? So all these people are saying, "Oh my gosh, I've been sitting around for the past 5 months eating, help me." And so then all of a sudden I was thrust into this, health space, and it was so uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm what am I doing? Who am I to help you? And then people were commenting on, "Oh, you look amazing. I'm so proud of you." And that was so uncomfortable because it was directing attention towards me that I was not used to having. I really was good at I was in a job in public relations and communications and marketing. And so I was really good at putting other people in the spotlight, but I was very uncomfortable being in a spotlight myself. So the fact that people kept coming to me and saying, "Oh, you're an inspiration. Oh, this is I really love what you're doing." Like, it was weird to keep sharing it, but I'm like, well, I guess it's working. So I'll continue to do this. And people are telling me that I'm supposed to. But I think finally I had the awakening to realize, okay, the fact that people keep telling me that they see themselves in my story means there's a reason I'm supposed to share this. And I finally kind of realized, okay, I'm called to be stronger than my excuses. There's a reason that God's putting me out in this place that is a more public place to help these other people, because if it's giving them some hope by being in this place, then I can do it and I can be strong enough to put myself out there. So, it took me a long time to get to that place where I was like, okay, I'm comfortable kind of being in the lead and feeling different. And sometimes it still feels that way. Sometimes I still have a hard time, like, really talking about some of these things with my, like, family or my real day-to-day contacts, because sometimes it feels like my worlds are still kind of separate. Um, but every time that somebody tells me, "Hey, that thing you shared really resonated with me," it makes me think, "Okay, that's worth it, and I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna keep sharing," because hopefully then it gives them enough strength to take one step in their direction too, and then I can maybe be that person that helps bring them along, even if that still feels weird for me.
No, I that's incredible. Like, that's awesome that you just keep showing up, and, people might be the naysayers and stuff, and again, say bad things, but there's those people out there that just need to hear or watch what you're doing. As you know, with, getting fit and stuff, it's all about behaviors and everything. So people see how you are showing up, not just by what you're saying. And that's very important. I get the same thing podcasting and stuff. Like I'm like, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. But all these people, they're encouraged or inspired and stuff. And so that's why I just keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, I started for another reason, but um, it's a way that we can kind of give back. And so, yes, you have faith, you have hope that hopefully, it does help that person. I think that's very cool. And so where are you at currently you said you have a community of people helping others. So what's that like?
Yeah. So, for about 5 years, 4.5, 5 years, I was coaching through the program that I used, to lose weight, and that was very transformative for me. But I began to realize that it was kind of one size fits all, and I wanted to be able to help people in different ways. But I also learned through that process that I really love the big picture vision part of it, and that there are people out there that are already suited to help people in ways that I can't, because I don't necessarily have the training or the certification. So I went on a bit of a quest to say, okay, well, who do I know and who can I find that jives with me and fits with my mission to help, women especially, but really anybody that's feeling really stuck in their health and in their life. And so now there's a team of 6, and we have different specialties within the group. So we are all really passionate about helping people who are feeling stuck in their physical and their mental health. And we want to help them have an identity shift towards becoming that healthy person. But that looks different for everybody. And sometimes all that person needs is a little tweak with their nutrition plan. And so I've got 3 amazing certified nutrition coaches that can work with that person and say, okay, here's how we create your plan for you. Sometimes it takes a little bit deeper. Sometimes it's more about what are these deep rooted patterns in our life? What are some of the stressors we have? What's happening with our nervous system? And so for those people, we have a woman named Ray who's a board certified health and wellness coach. She's been doing yoga and breath work and EFT, and she has a lot of really deep knowledge in what's happening in our mind and our body, and how can we use those things to make small progress towards our goals. So we have a range of people now that we can refer to each other. I can send to other people, and collectively then we've brought our knowledge together to say this is who we want to help and how we want to help them. Because working together, we all can benefit versus everybody kind of going it on their own.
Yeah. So I'm not a woman, but if I was, I come to you and then you kind of assess me and then point me in the right direction with the community you have.
Yes, and we absolutely can and do work with men.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm a man. I come to
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, if somebody raises their hand and says, "Hey, I'm curious and learning more about what you guys do." We set up a call with somebody on our team, understand what's going on. Where do you think that, you could use some support? And then we have lots of different options as far as whether it's one-on-one support. We have a 90-day transformational program that's really for somebody that's ready to dig into their identity and their habits and their nervous system and their surroundings. So depending on their needs, we have several different options of ways that we can work with people. And we also just have a community where if somebody is really just interested in surrounding themselves with other people and they like the group setting, we can do that too. So we can understand where you are and plug you in based on what makes the most sense for you currently.
Okay. That's awesome. And so are you just virtual or are you in person or one or the other? Both?
Yes. So there are 3 of us that are in Pennsylvania. So we are collaborating here locally to do some things. But actually, Ray's in Arizona, Michelle's in the Southeast, and then Tracy's in Wisconsin. So we can work virtually. But then if somebody's local, we can do something too. We all love to travel. So if there's something that we need to go to, we'll do it.
That's awesome. So what is the most common problem that you see clients coming to you about? Is it just don't know how to get started? Is it something that, is just their mindset?
I think that the thing that we see with people that are really ready to make change and start to dig into the work that we do, they've reached the place where they're just like, I just don't know what else to do now. Um, our Facebook group is called From Stuck to Strong, Mastering Your Healthy Lifestyle. And that's where we really like to work with people when they're like, they either say, I know what to do, I just need to do it, but then they don't follow through and they don't keep doing it. Or they say, I don't understand why this is not working. I'm doing all the things and it's just not happening. So those are the people that are most suited to say, yep, I'm really ready to create some change in my life. And then we can figure out what exactly that is. It's not necessarily weight loss for everybody. Um, I think for a lot of people, that is the straw that kind of breaks the camel's back of like, okay, I have to do something different because I'm so uncomfortable with myself physically that I have a medical diagnosis that says I have to make some change. So oftentimes it includes some element of weight loss or something around that. But really the people we love to work with are the ones that are ready to say, I realize that there's maybe more going on here than just what I'm putting in my mouth.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so you mentioned breath work and some other stuff there. Where's that come into play when somebody comes to you?
So sometimes we have people that realize, oh, hey, this is what I really need. Most of the time, they really don't know what they need. And so things like breath work or EFT tapping or it just becomes tools that Ray shares with us as we're working through something or as it makes sense for a client. So chances are, and I didn't know about this, I didn't know, oh, there's actual strategies towards breathing. But it's a whole science and it's amazing and it can really help people. So rather than saying, hey, do you want to learn about breath work? It may be more around Do you feel like your nervous system is in overdrive? Do you feel like you're always stressed out and you could use some tools and strategies to be able to pause throughout your day? This month in our membership, we are talking about stress and our nervous system and the effect that has on our body. And so Ray's able to bring some of those elements in to teach us little things that we can do along the way. And we may or may not even need to worry about what is that technique, because it's more like, what's the habit that you can work into your life to be able to help you, regulate yourself in that moment.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, again, you just listen to what they have to share with you, and they just go from there. That's
Yes.
awesome. Is there any, uh, special clients you're looking for besides just weight loss, or is it just people just coming to you just they're just tired?
Yeah.
That's it?
Well, we really love, I think that the people that we're best suited to help are people who have been really successful in a lot of other areas of their life. I was almost 20 years into a career that I was in a global job. I was, had a big title. I was traveling around the world, had the family, had the kids, had the house. But for all intents and purposes, I was miserable because I was not living my life with any intention whatsoever. So I think the people that we're best suited to help is somebody that they are likely successful in a lot of other places of their life, but they have not prioritized taking care of themselves either mentally or physically or both. Um, and they're ready to just say something has to change. And they may not even know what that thing is, because a lot of the times we don't. I thought I just needed to lose weight. And then I realized, oh boy, there's a whole lot more here. But I think it's when they have that awakening of, I just have to do something different because I can't keep going like this. This is not how I'm supposed to live and not how I want my life to look.
Yeah. Yeah, I've come across quite a few people, kinda in the same circle that we're in, and they are successful in a whole bunch of areas, but maybe that one, right?
Mhm.
Because they just dropped the ball on that. They're focusing on money, or, they're just chasing that shiny object or whatever that is, and they just tend to let their body go. Um, I don't know about you, but I've seen recently where, like Jeff Bezos and, Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, they're supposedly working out now, right? So they're coming back, and I guess, and maybe you can agree with me, like, you build your body, you build your mind, and I agree with that because my trainer says the same thing. So it's mentally and physically that you're getting some work done, and I believe too that it's making these guys sharper, where they let it go for so long. Now it's making them sharper than what they ever thought, and they look good, right? So, they're more fit, they're showing up mentally. Um, do you see the same thing? Would you agree that that could definitely make a shift there?
Totally. I mean, our tagline for our business is actually "Empower Health, Ignite Life," because I really think when you start to prioritize taking care of yourself, both physically and mentally, because I think both of those things have to come along together, it can open up a whole nother capacity that you don't even realize is missing. And I can't speak for men, but I do know for women that a lot of times that mental to-do list and the part that we can't ever shut off just keeps running over and over and over, and what we're eating, how we're moving, how we feel about ourselves, how we look when, feel when we get dressed, how we look when we see ourselves in the mirror. Those things can be really, really loud in our brain. And when we're able to just take that off the table, and when we're able to say, I just feel more confident now. I feel better. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel empowered with this. I know what I'm going to make my kids for dinner, and it's going to be healthy and everybody's going to eat it. It opens up a whole nother space that you didn't even realize was closed off. I talked to a woman a couple weeks ago and she said, "I just don't wanna think about food anymore." And I said, "I get that," because it can take up so much of our mental capacity that it can just be exhausting. So I think it can open up a lot of things in your life that sometimes we just get so stuck in the grind that we don't even realize we're missing out on.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm gonna mention something a little bit different here, but you mentioned the women as things just keep popping up over and over again, and keep thinking of everything. So when I went through my stuff, it was mentioned to me how a woman enters the room and the room speaks to them, right? So they see the clothes on the floor, they gotta pick it up, or the dirty dishes, or something, whatever that looks like, right? So The example that was made to me was if you have the room clean and everything's tight, you really can't come in and, your mind goes in one direction, right? So you kind of stay more present, more focused. And that sounds like exactly where you're leaning your clients to be. I'm not saying we're talking about a room, but it might help them too. It might
For
help
sure.
them to be more organized and clean, and then they can focus on the food and their mind's not going all over the place. Is that
I
something?
think
Go
it's
ahead.
totally relevant, and actually, I just met with a woman the other day that's a life coach, and she helps people, with decluttering, and I told her, I said, "Oh my gosh, I absolutely want to bring this in, and I want to be able to offer this to my clients because that could absolutely affect their mental capacity and the brain space." But so literally, yes, I agree with that. But also just, more figuratively, I think you're absolutely right. If you're somebody that, you're going into the week and you're busy with your job and you have all these things going on and all these responsibilities and your kids have 4 games and 3 practices throughout this week, and then you have a doctor's appointment, and then you're going, oh my God, it's Sunday at 5 o'clock. We don't have a single thing of food in the house. What in the world am I gonna do all week? Okay, I guess we're just gonna run through the drive-through because that's all we're gonna have time for, and then we're just gonna do that. Well, guess what? That is a cycle of a whole bunch of decisions that are not serving any of you to feel your best, feel your bodies, or show up or anything else. But if instead you're going into that Sunday night at 5 o'clock and you said, I know what my meal plan is, the groceries are here, we're going to have to do a crock pot for these 4 days because we're going to be out at that time, and I have it under control, and I've got my lunches packed and the kids' snacks are ready to go, you're going to feel completely different about your week than going into it saying, what in the world am I going to do? I don't have a plan. I have no idea. And I think that there's a lot of people that just live in that space all the time because they don't know how to step back and clean up the room so that they can walk into it and feeling fresher, on Monday morning.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so that can put pressure on them financially because they're spending more money than what they should. Yeah, and they're eating, the worst food that they could possibly go get. But yeah, I guess it comes down to being organized and having your schedule set up properly. And I know things happen, right? And so maybe that's where you got to get help, not just from a coach, but maybe a friend that can go pick up the food or something like that. Every little thing, can help along the way. For for me too, it's been a matter of just meeting people like yourself that has lifted me to another level where I just want to keep continuing to grow. And it sounds like that's what your community is doing in totally different areas, which is amazing. So that's cool. And I'm glad that you went through this, the community that you started with, so that you can make you yourself feel better, look better, and whatever that was for you. And now you created something where you can assist and help so many more people. Wendy, what's the best way somebody can connect with you, learn more about you, maybe potentially reach out and have a phone call?
Sure. So Facebook is probably the easiest. So I'm Wendy Hushon, and that's pretty easy to find me because it's a unique name. Our company is called UpLevel Wellness. So we do have a Facebook page. We have a website, uplevelwellness.org, and we have that Facebook group. So that's our free community from stuck to strong, mastering your healthy lifestyle. It's a place where we just love to connect people who are wanting to prioritize health in their life in some form, and be able to support them there. So our goal is to just really meet people where they are and help them take one step towards who do they want to become, because oftentimes that first step is the hardest. But if we can just start to get some momentum by taking some votes for ourselves each day, then things will continue to grow. So yes, reach out, because if that's the first step, that's a great one, and we'd love to support you.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to just have a conversation, right? And just see what you can do. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'll put that all in the show notes. So I have one question I ask every guest at the end. I'm sure you already know this, right? Because you went and listened. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, what are 3 key things you've learned and used along your journey?
I think the first thing is it's okay to change. It's okay to reinvent ourselves. Um, and that can be scary and it can be really unknown. Um, but it's okay to grow. And my sister told me one time, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to do. And that was really impactful for me because it helped me kind of realize, okay, just because these things might be easy in my life doesn't mean that they're the right things. And so I can still change who I am and evolve, and people are still going to like me. And it's still, um, you know, growth is good. And we can continue to evolve and grow as we go. Um, I think don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. And a lot of times we just need somebody else to listen to us and to, help us feel heard. And it's amazing when you do find that person that understands where you are, how comforting that can be. So don't think, "Oh, I just have to do this on my own. Why do I need somebody else's help?" Because having somebody else to walk alongside you, um, I think can really make all the difference in the world. Um, and I think the third thing that has really helped me is, um, unfortunately, we live in a world that really doesn't model healthy habits in a whole bunch of ways, not just eating, but, there's a lot of mindsets out there, whether it's, wearing busyness as a badge, or, the people that are just always saying, well, we just have to grind harder, we just have to work more. I think we are oversaturated and overstimulated and overworked, and pushing harder doesn't always make it better. And I really think that I feel strongly that I wanna help people be able to kind of break against the mold and say, "You know what? This is not how I wanna live. This is not how we're supposed to live." And it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, "We're not gonna do 7 sports right now," or, "We're not gonna go to 3 birthday parties in one day because that doesn't serve me or my family or anybody." Um, and it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's really worth it, and it's worth it for your own self and your sanity and your family and everybody else if you're willing to say, I wanna do things differently, and I wanna live my life on my terms, not just the way that the world is pushing us around to be."
Yeah, that's well said. I totally agree with you. So when I share my story, I say I felt like I was in a mold, just getting up, constantly going and going to work, coming home, take care of the family, kids, house, just keep rinse and repeat, right? Until stuff happened, and then you kind of open your eyes. And that doesn't always have to be a life changing event or anything, but I think you have to get to that place where you just say, "I'm tired. This is too much." And just like you said, let's just put a limit for, hey, you're only doing one sport this season, or two, whatever that looks like. Provided that you can show up and be present for the children. I think that's very important too. A lot of people are just dropping them off and just see you later. And even if it's practice, I still feel like that would be important to try and be there.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, we're in that constant go, 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 go. I know you mentioned overstimulated. Yes, for sure. Um, it's definitely nerve wracking. So yeah, I think breaking against the mold, like you said, I agree with being okay to change, and then asking for help. Like that's a big thing. And we're talking about health and fitness right here. I think that's very important that you ask for help, just to be more fit, whether that's in your mindset or physically. I think it's very important because it's about you, right? And now your longevity, you can live longer for your kids, your grandchildren, maybe yourself. You could probably do more thing like, I don't know, go rock climbing or whatever as you get older. Who knows? But I think they're all great things, Wendy. And so I thank you for sharing all that. And I'm glad that they helped you along your journey.
absolutely. You never know what's gonna happen until you try. And I really think that we can rewrite what aging really looks like, and we can really decide. I mean, we're all dealt a hand as far as, our genetics or whatever else, but we get to make decisions every single day about how we show up and what that is gonna affect us in the long term. And sometimes it's a big wake up call that really says, "Okay, I have to change." And sometimes it's maybe a whole bunch of little things that add up over time. But I think just remembering that everything that we do every day, whether that's how stressed out we are or what we eat or how we move, all of those things can really affect what our life looks like, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. And so I think it's important to envision, how do I want to be in my 70s or 80s or 90s? What kind of life do I want to live? And am I voting for that person now? Because chances are a lot of us who are kind of in the middle of life with kids and families and jobs and all that, we have a lot of habits that maybe are not necessarily voting for, the healthiest version of ourselves in 20 or 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so let's make a change, give Wendy a call, see what she can do for you and her team. Wendy, I appreciate you coming on. I knew you had so much more to share, right? It was well worth it, for sure. So thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.